Hello YouTube viewers, welcome to my show Science Thursday. In today's episode, we're gonna take a look at an interesting topic of monorails. So let's dive right into it. Now, what the heck this monorail is? It's a very simple thing. A railway generally employs dual track. Basically, you have two metal rails where wheel goes. This simply removes one of them. That's the whole idea. Mono means one. That's it. All it is. Now, it's a simpler, cheaper and lighter solution for mass transit. And in terms of footprint, it has a very, very small footprint. So that's the idea. So how the heck it works? One very simple thing. There are two core designs. First design you have is something like this, where you are running on top of tracks, and then there is second design which we call hanging. Basically you are below the track. You are basically suspended. So suspension one will look like this in terms of their driving mechanism. In terms of straddle beam, basically when you are gripping the beam and traveling on top of them, it will look like this. Now in terms of power, it generally runs on electricity, which is provided via third rail on this system itself. So you will not see extra overhead wire or under wire or third rail. You will simply see direct power and traction being provided by the same structure. Now generally when you have over the monorail, you will generally employ rubber wheels because they will allow you to have better traction, better climb capability. Basically the tracks can be much more steep because of rubber wheels, and when you have hanging, you have to rely on metal wheels. This has metal wheels and metal rails. So these are the two. Generally this is preferred, not that one, not metal one. So what are the good things about it? First, it's cheaper than metro. If you have checked my last episode on metro system, you know metros are notoriously in like flat out lossy proposition. You never make your money back. This on the other hand have some success and at least is much cheaper than that, and comparatively speaking it sometimes even makes profit, and I mean raw profit, as in the money you spent in the system will come back, not just the maintenance cost. And in terms of infrastructure wise, it's very lightweight infrastructure. Now the infrastructure that you see where you have a hanging monopole, this is generally a bit more expensive simply because of the cumbersome structure. But wherever you have structures like this is a very simple, like even the shadows casted by this structure is very minimalistic. Like you can ignore this sort of structure, this to some extent, but compared to metro, both of them are invisible. So in terms of infrastructure, undeniably so, like people won't be up in arms about this sort of monorail compared to elevated ways for a normal metro, because those things take a lot of space. In a photo you cannot justify it. You have to go there and see it for yourself, how much area is reserved for metro itself. So those are the pro aspect of it. However, there are some consequences also. First is the switching system, because there is one track and its train is completely relying on the track itself. How the heck you switch it? You have to employ something like this. Now if it looks cumbersome, it is cumbersome. This system is a very old system, which is to switch tracks in this, train has to go to a rotary travel, basically a rotary travel upside down, goes there, rotates to another and then goes on. So it's a very difficult thing. Then on top of that, because especially in the hanging one, even in the one where you are traveling on top, if you ever get in a situation like emergency, let's say power fails out or fire or anything like that, you are trapped there permanently. As in, think of this hanging, you can't open the door and jump out. You're gonna die. So, and even in this, you can't open the door and jump out. In metro, generally there is a passage in the center and in the side also. Those are there just in case of emergency. You can at least evacuate the carriage. Here there is no such option. It is very dangerous in that regard. On top of that, because you have invested so much in infrastructure, it also has very little throughput compared to a metro, which can transport very, very, very large amount of people. This can transport very little, like it's 10 times to 100 times less, because it's because of rubber tires and the fact that it is structurally not very sound, it cannot carry a lot of people, nor at very high speed. So the throughput wise, it's very low. And also India also employed some monorails. They were running at 30 kmph. They could run for 60, but metro starts at 30. Like metro can easily reach to 70 to 80, because metal wheels on metal rail and simple structure where you can reliably compensate for vibration and shock absorbers. It works much more efficiently. So that is why you don't see monorail everywhere. Even though I have provided the videos down below that you can see, people are saying monorails are the best solution because they are not as expensive as metro. Absolutely true. However, what's the point? A city would have invested money and they would have seen, okay, I invested money, I have a system which is not adequate. What's the point? Metro, at least from day one, they know they will never make their money back, but it will at least serve the people right. So this is why you don't see metro. Heck, Sydney monorail was closed recently, and I think it was closed in 2013. So it ran for 20 years or something like that. So things like that happen. In terms of capacity, it's not so big. In terms of footprint, it's not so small. So it's kind of odd middle child. So how do we compare it to, again, its alternative? Now again, if you have a big city, you do not even think about monorails. Monorails simply do not have the speed or the throughput, flat out. If you are a big city, like a really big city, you don't even think about monorails. Now, what about trams? Now, trams have the advantage that it is literally simple. Like you dig up the road, you put rail tracks there, done. Of course, overhead wire, you're done. However, if you don't want to dig up roads, I can provide you video here where you can see how trolley bus system works. Basically, it's the same road tram basically, but you don't need railways for that. You will have overhead wire. So tram, and in case of emergency, you can easily get off. Like that's it. Like you are on the road, you just get off, done. So these two solutions are like kind of very far apart. Like this is low capacity but super easy, this is high capacity but super complex. Monorail is somewhere in between, whether it's not cheap enough compared to this nor expensive capable enough compared to this. So that's why you don't see monorail everywhere, because if a city is about to invest boatload of money for, let's say, rapid transit system, it's generally in their best interest to go with this, because if the city grows and people throughput goes up, this can keep up. Monorail will not. So that is why you don't see monorail everywhere. And even all the forums that I'm seeing, people don't acknowledge that aspect, that monorail is suited for small towns perfectly, like small town to medium scale towns, but not for metropolis. So this was my presentation on monorails. I hope you liked it or learned from it. In that case, please leave a like. If you didn't, don't worry about it, you can dislike it. I would urge you to leave a comment because I reply to all of them. And please subscribe, press the bell icon if you're free, and as always, thanks for watching.